Welcome back, students. This is lecture 9 on sorting algorithms. In last lecture, we have completed the linear and binary search. Now it is time to go for sorting. So in today's class, we are going to learn about the different types of sort which are in syllabus. We will learn them one by one. So let's begin. Yeah. So as you know, sorting is basically arranging elements in order. It could be ascending order or descending order. Like in day-to-day life, you have seen many applications where we need to arrange data in order. It could be putting all the names in alphabetical order, or it could be uh, displaying the mark list rank-wise, starting from highest marks to the lowest marks. So based on applications, we have to use sorting algorithms in our programs. So the first sorting which we will learn here is bubble sort. Okay, so before we go to bubble sort, let's understand how we do the swapping, what is swapping and how it is done. Now, swapping is very simple. For example, I have two variables, say int A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 5. Now, if I want to exchange the value of A and B, or if I want to swap A and B, how do we do? Just think a bit. Yeah, many of you would say A equal to B and B equal to A. But if you try to assign the values, you will see that it won't happen. A is equal to A will become 5. You are assigning B value into A, so A becomes 5. And when you assign A to B, A is 5, so B also becomes 5. So it is not swapping. Okay, so this is not the logic to be applied. What we can do is we can take a third variable and do the swapping. Now, for example, T is equal to A is equal to B, and B is equal to T. Now you try to assign the values. See, T is equal to A. So you assign the value of A to T. Therefore, your T becomes 10. Okay. And when you assign B to A, your A turns 5. The B value is 5. Okay. And A value is 10. And then B is equal to T. What is in T? The 10th value. So B becomes T. So now if you see, your A becomes 5 and B becomes 10. Yes, the values are exchanged. Yes, so this is nothing but swapping. Exchanging elements is swapping. So we are going to apply the same logic in performing sorting also. So once this is clear, let's move on to bubble sort. Yeah. So before we see the program, let's understand how the bubble sort is applied, or the working or the mechanism of bubble sort. Now, if you take, say, 5 integers, say 50, 10, 1, 5, and 30. Okay, now suppose these are the elements of your array. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are total 5 elements in the array. Now, if you have to sort them using bubble sort, how do we do that? Let's understand the process. Okay, so in bubble sort, what happens is we will compare two adjacent elements. Now, suppose you have to arrange these elements in ascending order. Okay, ascending order is arranging elements from smaller to bigger, right? Smaller to bigger. Now, here we compare first element with second. Now, what condition you will be using is whenever your first element is greater than second, you will do the swapping. Because you want to arrange in ascending order, the condition here will be if first element is greater than the second element, you will do the swapping. Right? So if you consider this as first and this as a second element, and if you apply this condition, it will be true. So whenever first element is greater than second, you swap. So what happens? 10 will come here and 50 will go here. Now you will swap 50 and 1. Now again the condition is true. And 1 comes here, 50 goes here. Now 50 and 5 will be compared. 5 will come here, 50 will go here. 50 and 30, 30 comes here, 50 goes here. Yes, so this is the first iteration of bubble sort. And the same process continues till elements are swapped. So let's go to the second iteration. Again, the two adjacent elements are compared, and whenever the condition is true, the elements are swapped. So here also the first element is greater than second. So you swap the elements. 1 comes here, 10 goes here. And then 10 and 5 will be compared. Again, the condition is true. 5 comes here, 10 goes here. 10 with 30, the condition is false. So there will be no swapping. The elements will remain in the same place. Okay, so that was the end of second iteration. Fine. Now comes third iteration. 1 with 5. Actually, the elements are already arranged, right? I have randomly given some elements, so luckily it got swapped in second iteration only. So here you can see when you do first iteration, you can see that the rightmost is occupied by the highest element. And in the second iteration, you will see the rightmost two elements get arranged also. So that's for counter checking. You can see if you're going right or not. Sometimes in section A, they may ask you what are the elements in the second iteration of applying bubble sort. So you should be very clear with application of the process. They may give you elements and ask you to list the elements in first iteration or second iteration or third iteration using bubble sort. So the process should be clear. Hope you have understood this. Okay, so let's go to one more example. Yes, here. Now, if you see this, these elements here, 67, 76, 55, 89, and 30. So try to arrange them in ascending order, applying the same bubble sort technique. I will give you few seconds, try it out. Or you can pause the video, do the sorting part, and then check your answer. Yes, so this is how the bubble sort technique is applied. Okay, so hope you understood. You can pause the video and try to understand the mechanism, revise it, and then we will go to the programming. Once you understand the mechanism, it becomes very easy. Here in bubble sort, there will be two loops. The outer loop will count number of iterations and inner loop will take care of comparing and swapping the elements. It will arrange the elements in the memory. Okay, so let's go to the program. One second. Okay, you can even take this exercise once we complete the programming part. Later, you can try this exercise in your BlueJ or any IDE for that matter. Yeah, just give me a second. Yeah. Yes, this is the bubble sort program. You can go through the question. The question is input marks of n students of a class and display them in ascending order. Okay, so this I made it more general. Here you are first accepting the array size and then you create the array using the size n. Okay, creating array and then you input elements into the array. This is your basic array concepts. If you are given the size, for example, if in the question it is mentioned 10 students, in that case, you don't have to accept the array size. You can directly create an array with the given size. If it is 10 students, the size of an array, you can create an array like this, new, int, and 10. Okay, you don't have to accept the array size. Okay, so depending on question, you either create an array with the given size or you accept the size of the array and then create an array with the given size. Got it? And then this part is to input the array elements. So in all array programs, first you create an array and then you input elements into the array. So depending on what type of elements you are accepting, the data type will change, and depending on the size of array, this part will change. Okay. And also the scanner function has to be used correctly. Here you are accepting integers, so it is next int. If it is string elements, you can use sc next, right? Okay. Now, yes, one second. Let me pull up this logical part. So we completed the input. Now we are into the logical part. Yeah, as I told you, we will be using two for loops. This is the outer for loop, which will count number of iterations. And in the inner for loop, we will check the two elements, and based on the condition, we do the swapping using the same process as we discussed before. Right? Now here, a very important point to be considered is we have to write less than a dot length minus 1 only. Now let's understand why so. Now for example, here there are only 3 elements to be swapped. So what is the length of the array? Length is 3. Okay. Now if you see the index, what is the index of first element? 0. Second is 1 and this is 2. And what is this? This is nothing but L minus 1. Now here, when you compare two adjacent elements, you're comparing two adjacent elements. So how many comparisons are happening? The number of comparisons are 2. Okay. And because we start from 0, it will be 0 and 1, which will make up your first and second iteration, your two comparisons, right? So your for loop, inner for loop will be 0 and less than L minus 1. Yes? So if there are 3 elements, the number of comparisons are two comparisons. And because you start from 0, you will take less than 2. So this will make 0 and 1 the two comparisons. So make sure your inner loop ends at L minus 1, like J is equal to 0, J less than L minus 1, J plus plus. Okay. And if A of J, see now, how do you refer the first element of the array? The first element of array is A of 0. The second is A of 1, and the third is A of 2. So here the inner loop will take care of comparing adjacent elements. So if you consider this as first element and this as second element, it's something like A and this is B. So in T is equal to A equal to B, and B equal to T. Just consider A of J and A of J plus 1 as two elements of the array and do the swapping same way as we did previously. Okay. Just a minute, let me clear this off. Okay. So here, the outer for loop, it doesn't matter. If your elements get swapped in second iteration only, it will not, it doesn't matter even if you go 1 or 2 or 3 iterations ahead. There'll be no change. But inner loop, you have to be very careful. In bubble sort, always inner loop is J0, J less than L minus 1. Because if you write it as less than L, then it will do one more iteration and it doesn't find any element here, and you will be getting array index out of bound exception. So make sure you make it one less, because here we compare the adjacent elements. Therefore, one value decreases, and it will be less than L minus 1 and not less than L. I hope it is clear. So all these things takes place in the memory, and at the end you display the elements in, you display the elements to know whether elements are sorted properly or not. Let's see the output once. Yeah, I will just compile it. Compile. Yeah, no syntax error. Okay, this is bubble sort. Right click, and because it is static function, I can call it directly through function. Now here I have asked to enter the array size. So let me give 3. 3 is the array size, so I can enter any 3 elements. Let me give, say, 100 space 3 and 60. Okay, and we are arranging elements in ascending order. So can you see the output? It is in ascending order. So very simple. And if you want to arrange elements in descending order, you just have to change the symbol here. See, if you want to arrange in descending order, when will you do that? Whenever first element is, see, when will you do swapping? When first element is less than second element. When first element is less than second element, you will swap, because see, if you want to arrange elements in descending order, your first element should be highest. So whenever your first element is less than second element, you want this to be swapped, right? So while using this greater and less than, just think logically and give the correct relational operator, right? So you can change the sign and put it in descending order. It's very simple. So this was with respect to integers. And if you are asked to arrange elements of string data type, everything else will remain same. Only your data types will change. right? This next int will become next. And here, instead of relational operator, you will be using string functions. So with same meaning, you will be writing a of j dot compare to a of j plus 1 greater than 0. Okay, there'll be no other changes, only this int things you have to convert it into string because you are working with string elements, so the temporary variable will also be of type string. Okay, so please try these programs, and next class we will be learning about selection sort. Okay, hope you enjoyed the session. Please practice, revise, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, children.